Hello. It's time to start stream. So oh my god. My mouse is running out of power at the moment and I don't have spare batteries for it. So I am frantically navigating my uh, uh. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I made it work. Just move it closer to the, to the connector. Okay. Let me put that in there. So today I had to start. I wanted to do that thing people do where they find some absurdist artifact or thingamagoober or like a fish or something, and then they make like a character design based on it. Because I want to get more comfortable making character designs, because every time I do, I sit around and I go like, oh no, but what if it doesn't live up to all my grand intentions? So I think I just need comfort. And so we're gonna make a low investment character design. I just gotta find some of these. I have a bunch lying around, like a bunch of weird objects lying around that have funny shapes that we can draw from. I just gotta decide on one I enjoy here. Let's use this lamp. Let's use this lamp. I like this lamp. Okay, hold on. I will show you the grand lamp in just a second. Just gotta put it in here. All right, and just checking this works how I expect it to. Yes. All right, here we are. We are working on this thing. Brand new canvas. Very important first step. I don't think you can even... Honor, can you see that? Yeah, you can. I am going to start the time lapse. There we go. Yes. Thank you. All right, excellent. And we're going. So. I forgot to turn on any music. Let me just here's more soundtrack. I've not actually heard the soundtrack before, but I think it's a sequel to Ender Lilies. So I'm just like, hey, let's see it. I started literally the first song when I was drawing earlier today. I was like, oh, I know what this is. It's like, oh yes, that's what it is. Okay, great. Oh, I have this set up in a weird way right now. I need to change my settings because it is making illustrated animations for some reason. Which I don't want. I don't need all of this. Flip? Yes. There we go. Here we are. Much better. Alright, so what do we have here? We have a bunch of funny shapes. I think I'm just going to start by like looking at the kinds of shapes I spot in here before I begin drawing in a figure. Like we have a lot of these funny little trails going around. I like the like hooking going into itself. There's like these weird lumps if you look at the hook up at the top. It's flower. Oh, I like that one. There's all these fun little like flowery shapes going around that I think I'm gonna try to incorporate. This is likely gonna be some sort of armor thing going on. And then of course this main massive shape that we have here alongside the internal design here. Okay, we got that. And these, so something that combines in some sort of way. I like these like hard edges that go on the corners, and then we have this sort of like big swooping elegant energy coming in as well, going around. And I like these little droplet things going on. Look, this is immediate earring design. The ones going on at the sides. Okay, I think we've got some idea of what kind of shapes we're working with. Great. Let's see. If I can make this combine in my head in some sort of way that makes sense. I think there's like two ways I could take this off the bat that like strike me. Either we're doing some sort of like Knight Inquisitor type deal, or it's gonna be some sort of like refined, elegant nobility. Both things could work for this. Or, you know, combination, why not? Cane Sword? I really like this idea of having this cane here. Very symmetric as well. I like asymmetry a lot. I'm very tempted to just like ignore the fact that this is an incredibly symmetrical object I'm drawing reference from. But perhaps I shouldn't. Or perhaps I should, just because I'm allowed to do what I want. I'm the artist. The hair has to be like neat in some way or form. Like it can't be all over the place. I can't just be like, rah. That doesn't really work. I like having like a slight curl thing going on, and I also like this little swoop I've got here. I just realized I could set something up. Alright. There we go. More clarity. Ah. I think, yeah, I need to not fuss about for now if all the shapes are great and just put something down and then see if I find it to like work for my interests later. I mean, I can also tell that like some of this, I very easily fall into design tendencies I like done before, or at least tried before, like this sort of thing. I tend to draw a lot when noodling this kind of unbalanced script. Um, Highly impractical armor, but this is the sign. We're fine. I kind of like this shape idea here with like this whole thing, but I don't necessarily know if I want it to be on like the leg, and if it's on the leg, then certainly not on both legs. Rah! Hello, Charlie. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, this absolutely should not be something I put on, like, the leg. It looks too impractical to me, though I really like the shape idea of having this sort of thing. I could put it like, I can make it like part of this design over here. Or I could make it like, make this sort of spiral identity be part of British? I mean, I guess it might sound like that. I'm actually not. I'm from Denmark. I just steal other people's accents. Sometimes it's more American. Depends on who I've been listening to recently. I like that term. That's a good way to describe it. Skinwalker of accents. I'm a fan of that one. I do remember there was a time where I was watching like a whole bunch of Doctor Who some years ago, and I like legitimately just began picking up the intonation and mannerisms of the Doctor at the time, and I was like, oh no. I do it so easily. Man, this works as like a pauldron type beat. It's not a pauldron. I don't know what you call that. It's an on guard at least. Hello, bot. I'm just gonna remove you. Bye. Alright, there we go. Ah. Yeah, I'm practicing character design. This is like, I've previously sat down and done a bunch of character designs like off the cuff and gotten way too conscious about it, so I'm trying to just like do some character designs for character design's sake right now. And this is one of my first attempts at it with this sort of optic inspiration. Because I saw other people doing it and I'm like, it seems genuinely fun and it is a very interesting thing. I can tell that there are certain parts of it where I have to catch myself not just doing what I'm used to and actually like look at the object and think about the design of it. It's pretty fun. Gotta make a little. To refer to, so I don't get bamboozled in here. That goes all the way down here. I think the knee is around here-ish. Doing some character designs days ago. Oh, that's an interesting idea. You use helmets in different. What do you mean use helmets in different ways? That's an interesting way of putting it. Was it like as the sign reference, or was it let's give him a really funny hat? What does that mean? Perhaps leg is a slight smidge too long. Can I get away with this? Probably can. Trying to put helmets on them, but without making them super similar engineering. Okay, I see that. So helmet design practice. I like that vibe. That's fun. If you want to throw like an image link to show off, you're very welcome to do so. I'm curious. I think I'll make this just slightly shorter. Yeah, no, I'm not judging anatomy. Everybody's at a point in their art journey on their own, right? You gotta learn the things you know what do you do. It's fine. Looks so much more reasonable now. Was it more fun to have the stupidly long legs? I'm uncertain. I think perhaps part of what I am taking issue with is now that they're less long, they look, oh, whoops, they look less slender. So if they did something like this, it's going to be better. Not that one. This layer. Like here. As opposed to this. I keep the legs long. Make a long-legged lady, but we can get away with these kinds of proportions when we're designing. It's one thing that's struck me a lot when I look at like one of my favorite artists, Mon2501. He makes these really, or they, I don't technically know their gender. They make these really really long-limbed characters that just they don't look very realistically human, but the way that that ends up giving them this like very like slightly off-putting elegance is like really cool. And just kind of playing into like, okay, it's fine that we can just kind of mess with the proportions of this because it gives it a different characteristic we enjoy, I think is perfectly okay. So I think these, yeah, cool. This seems relatively reasonable. All traditional. Let me see. Oh, I like these. These are nice. I'll say your anatomy is not as bad as you think. You've got the proportions relatively down, which is the most important part. Uh, but I see the vibe. Different caps for different fellows. It's well done. I like this. Also, the like general headwear does a pretty good job, and the headwear and the posing does a pretty good job, like communicating what their actual character is. So they're nice. Yeah, I mean, like it works out pretty well. I'm for making that in a car without a reference. That's pretty good. I'd say it's got some dynamics. I mean, it's like the muscle anatomy of stuff is like an interesting thing. I feel like I spent a whole bunch of time going through Proco's anatomy course because I was feeling very self-conscious about it. And while there are small things I do to like kind of think about the muscle anatomy and the flow, most of it I've come to realize after going through all that, I was just like, I just the reason my drawings were looking off was because I didn't proportion like the arms to the torso right, or the torso to the legs right, or the head to the legs right. And then I just fixed that, and I was like, wait, all my problems were this all along. um, you can get away with so much just being like, okay, it's kind of like a tube though, and like you're golden. But there is, if you really want to get into it, there's so much detail that you can make into like these really elaborate things. But it is like the icing on the cake, and not the cake itself. It's just very easy to be self-conscious of. At least that's my thought about it. I like the spiral thing, but I should delete it. It just does not fit down here. This just does not fit. Okay, bye. Okay, I'll put that idea several other places probably, like up here. You can make it suit fit in there somehow. But yeah, all right. One funny thing about this is also like I am making up random armor pieces, and they are based more on this lamp than they are on actual armor. But I can also tell that my knowledge of actual armor is lacking when I'm doing this because it is not something I've studied a lot. And it's probably a subject I want to look into between streams. It does help to have more of that to draw from. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that with the variation. It's very easy to get obsessed over like, okay, here's one subject. Yeah, I want to do this over and over. I've had that issue, and also with humans because I've been doing them too much. Um, and then I just began being like, okay, what if I study like landscapes and weird textures and stuff, and really get into just other elements of this? Um, and then you're gonna get back to something useful afterwards. You can show it off if you want. Don't know if I'll be looking at every single little art thing, but you can go ahead. It's nice. Getting into the weird habit now of just doing shapes that I'm comfortable with instead of looking at the reference. Very violent, exploding a link straight into my chat. Well, these are nice as well. What you got? Projectile vomiting bugs? Fascinating. I like the hatching on these. They're vile in like a good way. Done compliment fishing. You're getting no more from me now. You've gotten your quota. Alright. I'm gonna go off study some nights after the stream is done, I think. I'm contemplating right now if I want to do like pants here. Because I don't feel like the kind of curvature of having like pants inside, like stuffed inside armor necessarily fits the object. So one per cyclist a follow. I appreciate it. Thanks for the follow. uh, Uh, I mean, I've been doing it for quite a while, but it has been like an on-off thing for the most part. So I think I technically started like some 7 years ago, and then I've been going at it at like a pace of, I don't know, probably on average about like half an hour a day, but I've been trying to take it more seriously recently and actually invest like several hours to really get this going. Uh, so it's part of what the streaming is about as well, because it's very nice. It's like a way to, one, give it a more social context, which makes it more fun, and also keep myself accountable. Well, thank you for that. Mm. Instead of this, we gave it like a strange belt situation. It's my age now. What is this? I'm like my mid-20s. Yes. I sound older. That's fascinating. How does one sound older? At least 30? That's funny. That's so the soul of old. That's fine. Okay. All right, fair enough, fair enough. I see it. I'll take it. I don't mind. I don't mind my voice sounding old. That's cool to me. Grandpa so. Damn. That's where we're at? Alright. Oh, that's funny. I have not heard somebody say that to me before. Could make one of these like a dagger or something. Denmark. Yes, Denmark is the place where we call frog fruit. We have many funny things we say here. We got that very distinctive R sound that is infamous for being so hard to pronounce it prevents babies from speaking the language for longer than any other language. Like for that's a funny one. It does have a nice cadence. Very direct. Best Danish word ever. Oh, wait, that's a lot of words you're competing against. I can see it being up there. It's a full interview. Trying to profile me out here. What is this? Hmm. Denmark, good. I enjoy my time. I mean, I have. I've been around a bunch of places in Europe and outside. Uh, to visit, it's probably Japan. That was fun. That's really nice. You get one more. You get one more question vaguely answered, and then we enact the Streamer Privacy Act of no more questions. Hello, Raddington. Welcome to the stream. I am the character designing. Yes. All right, that's your question. That's the last question. You're not getting any more. There we go. It's so easy. I have been. It's nice. It's very, very fun to visit. Song name. I mean, right now I'm actually listening to a soundtrack I've never heard before. It's by Mealy, and I'm pretty sure it is the soundtrack to the sequel of, what is it, Ender Lily? So this is Ender Magnolia, and the song name is Humanity. So you can do with that what you want. Um, but no, I saw Mealy had released a new album. I was like, oh, it's a soundtrack, and I was like, let's put that on. Sometimes I think about calves and I'm like, where do they start compared to the knee? Because they're so weird. Sometimes, like, it really depends on how you bend your knee. But it is kind of like this. Fortunately, so happy that I can look down at my own legs and be like, how does it work? Like this. Your own body truly is the most powerful anatomy reference. You can just pose however you want. Nice. I mean, that is how you find the answer. It's so simple, you know? Uh, yeah. And yes, it is like I feel like you just put the calf bump like way up high because it looks cool to have that one all the way up there, but it just doesn't fit at all. And I'm beginning to think I have the Streamlabs sound to ping when people write a message, but it has like a timeout. I think with the current frequency of messages, I should remove the timeout because I miss some of the messages when they're too close together. Famous streamer. Yes. Uh, and I like the pace of things right now. Um, so famous. In fact, I got partner 5 years ago. Obviously. Be just a little bit larger, methinks. I'm looking at the stuff like around the top, like the extra like leaves and stuff, like decorations. I don't know what the word is. The one word comes to my mind is filigreed, but I think filigreed is too like fancy for this. Where are we at in terms of time by now? Yeah, I've been at this for an hour. I think it is time for certified stretch break moment. So I'm just gonna go refill my tea and such and stretch for a little bit. Uh, well, yeah. So I'm just gonna get time lapse. You can see this stuff up here. Yeah, it should show on stream now. I've set this up. Okay, cool. So, all right. I will return shortly. And we're back. My shoulder has been stretched. I am now limber and ready to go. And yes, tea. See, the British are actually onto something. It's really good. So. Oh, we got we got thematically fitting music for the heroic return right now. Perfectly on accident. I gotta pull up the. There we go. I have the ref on my other screen again. Thank you. All right. I see that. It's possible to burn yourself out on anything. It's really funny. I keep coming back to that idiom or idiom. I don't actually know how you pronounce that. Like, variety is the spice of life. I used to really despise that one, but the older I grow, the more I'm like, you know, it's so true, actually. Yeah, idiom? Okay, I see. Thank you. I don't know how much I like these pants on the hips because the shape of the hips completely disappears behind them. And I like the shape of the hips. I know, he's not that rude. What do I do with all this stuff? Going back to fundamental thought again, like I don't want the details to overshadow the actual like basic forms that I'm representing. Mainly a lot of it is like you do want it to be on the silhouette. I think that's like one of the things. People keep saying this about character design. Silhouette. I don't want the silhouette to completely overshadow the actual human form either, right? So it's a balance. Perhaps I can No, I'll just draw that again instead of trying to... I think if I simply make it like more things here and then it goes out down here, we are keeping a lot of the basic form still while not completely keeping this off, because I like this like pattern on the silhouette. I just want this curve in here as well. I think this looks nice. And then if we go in and say something like, hey, we have this, and then it goes out like this, we are emulating once more part of the design of this lamp here we're taking reference from. Yeah, I think this works. I'm happy it seems that way to you as well. So my eternal enemy is making up like a shape on one side and then being like, ah, I love this shape design, and then I get to the other side and I have to think about it like in 3 dimensions, and I'm like, oh no, this is not shape design anymore. This is form. How could it be? What have I done? All right. Like here, guidelines. We also have perspective, so it's like this. Yeah. Thereabouts. Okay. Yeah, Lovecraft specifically. It is some Eldritch shit. Like it is some of the stuff that people say about how you have to begin to think about drawing is like it is some Eldritch shit. Like, okay, you need to look at this flat piece of paper and convince yourself that it's like a window into like a 3 dimensional world, and like you just have to believe that in your mind. And then you can make it happen. It's like, okay, great. Thank you for the arcane trickery. And then somehow you draw a million boxes and you manage to actually do it. It's crazy. Like this pad here. I'm beginning to wonder if does this make sense? Does this work? I need to make sure this actually works here. The hip is here. Goes here. Down there, up, okay. Seems about right. The perspective of that, I mean, the head is basically level. Eye level, or maybe even a bit above, which means that this perspective should be going slightly downwards. here, but not too, well, not slightly downwards, slightly upwards. That's what's it's messing me up, because I'm doing it the wrong way. Gotta keep everything working. So that should be slightly upwards there, and then that hip situation ends up being like up here ish, and this starts here. Oh, so I somehow moved all this. When did I do that? Hold on, we can use the arcane trickery. Let's see. Oh no, we can't use the arcane trickery. Okay, we'll just use the other arcane trickery. I was hoping to just make it easy for me. So arcane. That was so hard. Made the swirl over here like really violent. I kind of like how violent it is. I just gotta communicate it on the other side as well in a similar fashion. And make it make sense in 3D simultaneously. Why does that to you? Thank you. There we go. And I do think, actually, now I'm thinking about it, that I want the armor to communicate more of the hard shapes. Because there are some very soft shapes on this thing going around, but I have plenty of other opportunities to communicate that with, like, other segments of the design. And also, I was kind of thinking that, like, I wanted to put, like, the ornamentation on the knee pads some more. I think I'll put a little bit of it, but I don't know if I want it too much, because then there's, like, way too much design attention on that spot, specifically. I want to put things elsewhere, even things out. And then I think it's for design purposes, not a bad idea to just have, like, plain-ass... wrong thing. Plain-ass pants. Because then you have, like, a little space to rest between the sections here. Alright, I think I might leave those there for now and begin looking somewhere else just to get through this. Don't want to spend too much in one time in one spot and then over design it before later. Gotta remember to move around. You can reasonably have like a pad up here and still be able to move your feet pretty well. You don't really move it backwards that way. Just gotta not have one in the back as much. Also, I do kind of like there being a swirl on these boots, but I don't need them to become like clown shoes, so gotta balance that out somehow. Alright, let's just begin adding things around the place instead of getting obsessed over one area, and then I'm gonna go back to detailing afterwards. Let's get a little bit more sketchy, I think. I really like this 6X shape, but I still want to communicate like a relatively slim waist here. So I'm going to tone it down just a bit to emphasize. And like, actually, I'll just like have this pull in here more so you can see. Yeah, I think that works. You know, given my style of sketching, it is perhaps sometimes slightly hard for me to tell, okay, that helps, how much like visual noise this has. So I don't want it to be too noisy, and obviously right now, up here is like, what's happening in this area. So I want to think about that a little bit. Have I been talking? I think I've been talking for a while into a muted mic. Because I pressed the button while I was taking a bite out of my sandwich. And then forgot to unmute. Okay, anyways. No, I've been sitting here chatting about um actually this exact region. So I didn't realize until I looked at the audio board and I was like, oh wait. um but the idea is that yeah, it's probably gonna resemble what's happening on the knees here. But I'm a little bit scared of running out of like design budget because there's only so much like visual clutter that I can conceivably get away with having before the design becomes too cluttered. You need like rest spaces. And I have this distinctive issue that like I want to do something or another with like the hair here that's gonna resemble the more curvy forms like on the outside of the lamp. Um, and that's gonna take some of the like attention I can put up here. It's just a question of where I put the rest spaces. I also think, realistically, I just removed this stuff down here because I have a pretty good shape here, and with this like belt-like thing anyways going around, I don't exactly need more of that, and like this section can be more of a rest space. And I mean, I want some ornamentation on the inside of these as well that like resembles what's going on in general. So I think that helps already, giving like a little spot of rest up here. But actually, then again, in terms of focal points, it is not bad to have a lot of details around the focal point. The focal point should be the head, right? So perhaps it's perfectly okay that those shoulder pads go wild alongside the hair. I think that's actually a... Let's just see how that works out. I think that's a reasonable thing to do. Also, is her head like too far back? I think it might be. Gotta move it slightly forward. There we go. So, is that better? Is that better? I think part of it is also just the fact that I am... If I do this, and then I make the neck a little bit more natural here. I'm gonna take the last bite of my sandwich and remember to unmute this time. Okay, I remember to unmute. This is an interesting question. Raincoat optimal color. I mean, because yellow is very classic, but I don't know if it's optimal. It's just like a signal light type color. You're just like, hey, I'm here. I think for raincoats, depending on what the rest of the design is like, I might be biased towards either green or orange. And I typically don't like green on like a lot of apparel, but I think with like if you conceive it in the rain, there's something very like fresh in nature about green. Blue is kind of eh. For raincoat, it's like, wow, water. Crazy. I think green or orange are fun. I'm eternally biased towards orange. This is why I'm giving this answer. I like orange a lot. Oh, that makes sense. I mean, you could always just think, hey, what would this person buy in a store? Yeah. And if they're like a more fiery personality, then like orange is a feasible one. You taking green? They would buy green in the store. Very nice. What are you working on? Stuff the character design, or is it something like you've established before? Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I see that. Good luck with it. You're still doing traditional for that, or is that digital? Additional. Very nice. Is it colored pencil energy, or you like over painting with something? Or well, yeah, I guess it is over painting. Pencil all the way. Very nice. Colored pencil can produce some like really impressive results. It looks really good. Ugh. Paint gets messy. I don't want to take it out or not. Yeah, that's true. It's true. I have enjoyed myself a bit working with like combinations of ink and watercolor. It's I'm not great at watercolor, and I've been thinking that if I want to do it again, I should probably do a gouache because I like the ability to paint over something again. Um, but yeah, no, it's not very simple. So I can do more detail. Like once again, I forgot to remove the BRB. This is not something you will notice except on the on the what's it called, the speed paint recording. Just like really funny. It's just there. I think I should try with this kind of thing to take up about a quarter of the canvas if I do the 4,000 by 4,000 I'm trying to do. It's a pretty decent size for the speed painting. I also think it's a pretty decent size for being able to get details in while still not making it so big it's unreasonable. So now I can do this without, like, it completely flubbing everything. I'm close to running out of steam, though, so I'll be drawing for just a bit more. And I might switch to, like, a game or something if you want to watch it. Alright, I'll see you around. Thank you for stopping by. think I'll just fine-tune some of the simple details that don't require me to think about this sign for a bit. And then I will wrap up. I changed my mind. I do want this farther back. It's kind of an interesting thing of like where I put that head, because I feel like if it's up there, then the post looks like stiff. But if I put it a little bit farther back, we get a little bit more of an implication of that like S curve through the spine. Get this thing, yeah? Which is way better than this, I know. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Okay, maybe actually, hold on. I've just realized I am now I'm not thinking about the design, I am way less taxed. I might actually just draw more for a bit and then draw some armor studies, some of the stuff that I wanted to do anyways. Without thinking too much of the sign. But my brain is fried thinking a lot about the sign, which I'm not very used to. So let's see if we can find something good here. I think for now, as much as I enjoy the act of looking at the design sensibilities of like fantasy armor, I think I want to start with some at least physically created armor. Just because then we can more easily... Then I have like a good design standpoint. So let's move this out of the way. Alright, we got this guy. Before I move on, I have, there's the unfortunate consequence of drinking so much tea that your bladder goes into overdrive, so I have to take care of that real quick. I will be right back. I have returned. Let's see here, what do we got? Okay. The fierce battle with the bladder. Alright, let's see here. A little more extended. Like out here-ish. And this one is a little more like that. For shortening, always do be playing tricks on me. I've been trying to actively practice still being loose while taking care to keep control of the proportions I put down. Because, like, I draw way better if I allow myself to do stuff like this. Going haywire with it before I get down to the nitty-gritty. But I still have to make sure that things don't end up looking like a spaghetti because of it. So, it's an interesting balance. Yeah, that's how it goes. I really do this better because like it's very much about, to me, finding the gesture of all this. And I mean I don't think I started necessarily quite as rough with the design, but this really, oh, that's too big. But I really like find the flow of things way better this way. And I just erase a lot. We could do better. I think the Spotify has finished playing the soundtrack and processed to, yes, we are now not listening to soundtrack anymore. Oh, okay, but the next thing right after is another soundtrack from immediately after this one. We'll just listen to this, and then we'll keep going. Oh yeah, like that's why it's messed up. It's because this is like way more like this. There we go. That's It's not this leg that was problematic, it's the other one. It should be about. Yeah, it works. Alright. This is also one of the reasons I really enjoy doing digital, because I can get away with doing this. The Attack on Titan OST? I mean, I've listened to the stuff that's in at least the first season. I've only seen the first season of that show. But I feel like it would be slightly too intense for the energy here, but it is good. Yeah, no, I've heard it. And I understand. I think my only issue with the current sketch is this doesn't feel upright enough to me, and I think it might have to do with like the way that this curves here. And if not, I'll just go off of this if it doesn't end up working for some reason. Alright, I think that's good enough. I'm here to study armor design, not exact posing. I think this energy is good. Sure. It needs to be further down. You're right about that. That is true. I stopped thinking about the actual proportion of that compared to the rest. Started thinking about precision more. Let me just check this. Maybe even a little bit smaller still. I think that is more adequate. Very nice. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. I had become blinded to it. Helps with the gesture as well here, I think. Move this a little bit more forward. Yes, very nice. No grain of salt. Yeah. No grain of salt needed. It was just correct. This was far too big. I mean, that's an issue I've had before. So. Alright, thank you. Now I have the energy of the motion. I think I'm gonna begin to refine this down a little bit. Which I think is gonna involve saying, take all this. There we go. Now layer 2, the marginally less chaotic layer. I have pondered on occasion if it's very silly of me to have a process that is mega chaos, then slightly less chaos, and then slowly reduce chaos from there. But I do genuinely feel like the chaos helps me like understand the subject in a more intuitive way, and then slowly and deliberately like reducing the amount of wildness with these like consecutive layers helps a lot, because compared to, so I like doing a lot of like erasing and then rebuilding, but the first layer I tend to enjoy making so chaotic that it is often harder to erase off of that one and like make a proper sketch than it is to just make a new, slightly less chaotic layer that is inspired by the gestures. This leg is slightly too big now. Is it, or is it not? We're shortening strikes again. Great confusion. It was too long. It's because of the, oh, whoops. I did the thing. Yeah, I think like any process is a good process. It's just I thought about it when I began doing it this way. I'm like, is this time effective? And I think the answer is still yes, right? Like in comparison to what if I just did it in a slightly different way, where I did it like slightly more controlled from the get go. My experience is this: like genuinely, if I loosen up in the beginning, it becomes so much better. So, but true, any process works as long as it like is suitable for you and actually meets your goals. It should not be that long. I got the completely right measuring, or ah. I have to do something real quick with this layer because it is stop being a blue layer because of the way I merged this. They need to do it in a slightly different way, so I'm just going to make it a blue layer again by making everything black here, and then doing like this, because then I can distinctively see what layer I'm on at a given time instead of making accidents like that. And then I can also tell that I, in shrinking this, messed up this one over here. It's a little frustrating. think it's about there. Otherwise, I'll fix it later. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. Now we're talking. Bro doesn't have thick enough thighs right now. I need to fix this. A little bit more like the correct proportions. Okay. I just realized. Yeah, okay, we're at 2:35 now. Maybe I should stretch break again. Maybe I should set a timer, in fact, on this. I'll go for another like 5-10 minutes, then I think it's stretch break. Easy to forget. But if there's something I do not want, it is to hurt my shoulder by overstraining. Oh yeah, no, I can feel it now that I am paying attention to it. Okay, stretch break time again. All right, I will BRB. Back at it again. Okay, let's get going. This time, I shall remove the BRB. Alright. Did I? Eh? Oh, yeah, okay, I lowered the opacity of it with the misclick. I was very confused why I wasn't erasing properly. It's getting way too warm in this room. I need to tie up my hair. I do wonder, like, practically, there's a lot of ridges on this armor. If that's to, like, catch, like, a weapon and make it, get stuck. I think it makes sense. I don't know, like, beyond, okay, you want to protect, obviously, your vital organs and still maintain some degree of flexibility. I don't know what most of the design goals of armor are, like, if you think about the practicality and not the visual appeal, which obviously is also a part of it. But I do think this, like, kind of slope here is an interesting one. Because that certainly doesn't help with movement. And while it could be an aesthetic decision, I do find it interesting that there's so many of these kinds of little bumps around the place. I'm immediately tempted to try and make the armor shine thing happen. Which is like, this is tough, but I do enjoy trying to think about it. How do you actually make this texture work? Because, I mean, all this is hypothetically just, like, really dependent on the surroundings, yeah? And it's also not technically what I am studying right now, I just, like, think it's cool. Just probably won't be doing it for most of us. That is something I've really begun to admire in, like, ink work especially. Like, if you look at, like, a lot of mangaka, the way that, they can create textures out of things without, like, but just by implying it at, like, the right intervals in the right ways, without doing anything else than, like, okay, we have a line. um, Rough hatch work. I think it's really impressive when I see it. I want to imitate that more. Might be getting distracted from my original goal, but I'm having fun, so isn't it all great anyways? Exactly. If I zoom out and squint, I vaguely get an impression this is metallic, so I think I'm getting somewhere. I'm also getting the impression that like it's actually pretty useful to do it while doing this, do the hatching across the form, rather than along it. You get more of like the shape of it in there, and you also get some sensation of like surface roughness. Which, I mean, I guess if I want to communicate a completely like sleek surface, isn't necessarily what I'd want to be doing. But I like the look of it. I like the look of something that's kind of rough. Alright, watch this be the only like rendered thing on this piece when I'm done. Gonna be that one really. It's gonna be that drawing of a horse, that meme drawing, like the rendered backside, and then the front is just like a smiley face. It's very you know what it is if you've seen it. It's a beautiful piece of art. Interesting. What's even happening here? Okay. I think, unfortunately, we may have been bamboozled. I began looking into close detail on this. I think this may be an AI armor. Because there are parts of it where the armor like melds together. It passes at a glance, but it is the kind of thing where it's like, okay, I begin looking at details. I'm like, nah. Sincerely bamboozled. How could it be? Yeah. I mean, it has a lot of elements that make sense, and I think like the artifacting of it gets lost in the like metallic nature of it. Fortunately, you can begin spotting these things the second you begin referencing left to right and be like, that's not consistent. Alright, this shall be banished to the Shadow Realm. It is an unfortunate thing that you have to spend that much time like looking at a piece of reference by now to like make sure it's real and proper, and you can't just be like, hey, look at this piece of armor, that looks neat. That's how it goes. This is so true. I do appreciate that they added that like tag that like if that it actually is in the metadata that it is created by AI that it like says on the picture now. But it is like very annoying that it's taking up so much of the space on Pinterest because otherwise it's such a nice site to find reference on. Um, I wish you could like report like a piece of art for being like this is AI. I wish you could just do that. All right, for the time lapse, we can just real quick. There we go. Oh no, my mouse is running out of battery. Ah. You know, I don't want to let AI defeat me. I want to keep going right now. But it would be really funny if this is the time where like I have to end stream because I actually can't move my cursor. Oh no. Okay, I still got a little bit of fighting energy left. I'm drawing on a display tablet. Um, like a pen display or whatever you call it. So I got the big ass monitor, and then I have my second monitor to the left. But obviously, I can only use the pen display on the one monitor. Which I mean, I could use to solve the problem, but it does make navigating pretty annoying. I had like a display tab, like a not a display, but like a little tablet, one of the ones that are separate, which I had to use for a while because my actual pen display broke. But I realized after a while one of the reasons why I was so bad at using it was because it had like this inherent delay to it that meant that I couldn't start my lines at like correct spots. So it just made me really bad. And I had to like rush getting a new pen display. Oh my goodness. This mouse situation is killing me. Alright. Alright, this isn't as densely packed armor, but I'm going to put this... I'm gonna use this one, because it is what I can identify as being true and honest for now. So let's see this one. There we go. Let's work on this. Turns out it's difficult to like identify accurately whether or not something is slop or not when you're not super familiar with the subject. Yeah, it's true. It is low-key scary. It is like genuinely a massive problem. That like it's so hard to distinguish what is and isn't real. Fortunately, I can sit down and be like, okay, does this work left to right? Are all the small details accurate? Yada yada yada. But it's annoying. You have to spend that energy instead of just being like, oh, that's cool. Let me do a study. Yeah. Because like, I mean, it's advanced enough that a lot of them pass at a glance, and then you have to begin actually looking at them for real before you can make a decision. And I wish I didn't even need to give AI that light of day. Like, please just let me draw something. Wait, we delved into? I think we've managed to get to the Limbus Company soundtrack. I've heard this one in memes. Okay, we got a sketch. I think this shall be the end of the stream, not completely defeated by the uh, evil AI. I managed to actually make something. But I will continue the studies on this and continue the character design, I think, next stream, which I gotta decide whether or not that's gonna be tomorrow or the day after. Oy, oy, oy. But I need to go get some batteries for this mouse, otherwise I'm gonna go insane. So, I'm just gonna save this. And yeah, see you later. Thank you for stopping by and being in the chat room. It was very fun. You are canonically the first person who has stopped by that I didn't already know. So, it's very nice. But I will see you sometime. Bye bye.